Shalom Aleichem. Mishnah Yomi is starting chapter 5 of Bava Metzia today. Yesterday we finished off chapter 4, Hazahav, which focused on Onah, financially wronging someone, that we saw it could include wronging someone with words as well. And now chapter 5 launches into a different way that we avoid harming other people financially. Ezehu neshech. What is neshech? Charging interest. Literally, neshech means bite. Ve'ezehu tarbit, and which one is an increase, an unlawful increase in the amount when someone's paying back a loan. Now, the pasuk in Vayikra chapter 25 mentions both the words neshech and tarbit, or ribit, it's commonly called ribit, as expressions of charging interest, of the lender getting back more money than he lent out to the borrower in the first place. Though typically in the Mishnah, neshech is used to connote a biblical level prohibition of neshech or ribit, and this tarbit is typically used to show a rabbinical level, as the Mishnah will explain. Ezehu neshech. So what's a neshech? Hamalva sela bechamisha dinarim. The lender lent out a sela, now that's equal to 4 dinar, and he's demanding in return 5 dinar when the loan is up. So that is a biblical level prohibition of neshech. Satayim chitim b'sholosh, or he's letting out 2 seah of wheat, and he's going to get repaid with 3 seah of wheat, even though it's not money, it's produce. There's also neshech. V'nei shehu noshech, because he's taking a bite of the borrower. Ezehu tarbit, what's a rabbinical level prohibition of, benefiting from someone else's financial need here? Hamarbe bepeirut, someone increases through a contract for providing produce. Ketzad, what's the example? Loka chemenu hitin bedinar zahav hakor. Somebody's buying wheat from a supplier at the price of 1 gold dinar, it's 25 silver dinars worth, per kor, per 30 seah. V'chenashar, that was the normal price at that time. So the buyer is paying this dinar zahav per unit in advance, and he's getting the wheat supplied over the course of the season, over the course of the year. Amdu chitim b'shloshim dinarim, and then the price of wheat increases, as often happens, especially recently, and it's now 30 dinar, 1 1/5, basically, a gold dinar per kor. So the price has gone up, and the supplier hasn't given all of the supply yet. So as he supplies more, it's really at a higher price. But the Gemara says, so far it's not yet a problem, because the seller, the supplier, could have gone out and bought the entire kor, the entire amount, because the buyer gave him the money originally, could have bought it at the low price before there was inflation. But now we're going to see the Mishnah changes this hypothetical, and we get into a problem. Amar lo, the buyer says, Ten li chitai, could you give me all the wheat right now? And right now it is a higher price. Shani rotze lemochron, I want to sell all the wheat right now because the price has gone up. Likach bahen yain, I want to buy some wine now. Amar lo, and the seller replies, probably because right now he doesn't have any wheat or wine on hand, he says, Harei chitecha asuyot olai b'shlosha dinarim. Behold, your wheat, meaning the value of the money you've paid me, the supplier, is now an obligation for wine. So now it's a problem because the wheat price was originally 25 per kor, now it's 30 per kor. So basically the seller, the supplier, is now on the hook to supply wine based on a higher price of wheat. So it's as if the buyer has given him 30 instead of 25. He's got to give back more value than he got in the first place. V'harei locha etzli behen yain, and I will supply you with wine at the current price. V'yain ein lo, but he doesn't have wine on stock right now. If he had wine on hand right now that he could trade for the obligation to provide wheat, he'd be okay. But he has to go out and buy wine at the new price to supply the buyer, and the new price has gone up, so he's giving back more than he got. So originally the supplier was on the hook for 25 worth of wheat. Now he's on the hook for the equivalent of 30 worth. Now, the reason this is Ribit derabanan and not neshech deoraita is because this was not in the context of a loan. It originally was never a loan. It was a financial transaction, a contract that was completely normal, but then because of the price fluctuation and the customer's change in order, it basically became the equivalent, similar to a loan, where the supplier is going to end up providing more than what he originally got. Onto Mishnah Beit, Hamalve et Chavero. Somebody has lent money to his fellow. Lo yider b'chatzero chinam. He's not allowed to dwell in his courtyard, use his apartment for free without paying rent. V'lo yiskor mimeno b'pachot. And he can't even get charged less rent, get a discount because he's also lending money. Mipnei shehu ribit. This is ribit. This is rabbinically prohibited form of interest. It's giving a freebie to the lender, and the lender is not getting back extra money. He's still getting back 1,000 when he lent out 1,000, but he's getting this side benefit that's considered rabbinically forbidden. But the Mishnah explains, Marbin olasachar, you could increase the rent, ve'ein marbin olamecher, but you can't increase the price of a sale. Ketzad, what are we talking about? Hiskir lo et chatzero, he's renting out his courtyard, probably there's an apartment in it also. Ve'amar lo, and he tells the renter, Im me'achshav ata noten li, if you pay me up front, you pay me right now, harei hu lecha be'esr slaim l'shana. It's yours at the nice low rate of 10 sela per year. Im shel chodesh b'chodesh, if you're paying me every month at the end of the month, b'sela l'chodesh. It's a sela every month. Mutter, that's actually allowed, even though at the end of the year, the monthly has paid 12, where the yearly has paid 10. However, in the Gemara, they explain technically rental is not due until the end of the rental period, the end of the month. But paying in advance is not looked as like paying a debt. So if someone's paying in advance, he could get a discount simply for paying in advance. It's not like he's paying more at the end, which would be Ribit. It's like he's paying less at the beginning, but he didn't even have to pay at the beginning. So that is allowed. But the Mishnah contrasts this. Machar lo etzadehu, he sold his field. Va'amar, told the customer, Im me'achshav anatuten li, if you pay me right now, reishalcha be'elef zuz, it's 1,000 zuz. Im legarin b'shnemasar maneh. But if we wait until the next harvest season, it could be 6 months, a year later, once you've planted and plowed and harvested this field and you have some money, you have cash on hand, that's going to be 12,000. Usser, this is prohibited. This is actually considered interest. Now, why? Because when you buy a property, the money is due immediately. The money is due at the time of purchase. So here, waiting to get the money is effectively lending him the purchase price of the field. And then once the customer has money, he'll pay, but he'll pay a higher rate. That's Ribit. That's a problem of interest. So here, by the sale, the difference in price, if he's paying more later, since it was due right now in the first place, that would reflect prohibited interest. Yashar kochachem tisku l'mitzvot.